I never imagined a dress made from trash bags would capture the heart of a millionaire CEO. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It was like walking into a tsunami, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. I stood there, hands trembling, surrounded by garbage and chaos. The scent of mildew clung to the air, choking me. My dreams wrapped in black plastic, draped over my shoulders for the fashion show of a lifetime. A dress made from trash bags. Unbelievable. And yet, here I was, in the middle of the storm. My fingers shook as I ran them over the crinkled material. What had I done? The laughter of the crowd echoed in my mind. Images of glitzy gowns and designer labels flashed before me, their colors vibrant, alive. And there I was, a dumpster diver, creating something from nothing. My mother's disapproving face still haunted me. "You can't choose fashion from garbage, Clara," she barked, shaking her head as if I'd signed my own death warrant. I had poured everything I had into this project. Every penny, every sleepless night, dreaming of recognition beyond this bleak room. I wanted to tell the world that beauty could emerge from despair. The stakes were high. I could feel failure clawing at my mind. Somehow, the chance to present my creation in front of a billionaire, the flamboyant CEO known for tearing down trends, had landed in my lap. I could still see his smirk, the way he scrutinized every outfit in that glossy magazine. His reputation for finding hidden gems was legendary. But would he see the potential in my trash bag dress? Silence hung heavy as the countdown beeped, pulling me back to reality. The weight of the moment pressed against my chest, squeezing out my breath. "You got this," I whispered, my voice barely audible. Then came the whispers. My heart raced faster. "Who is she?" I caught fragments of conversations. A joke, another sneered. My spirit dipped, the optimism plummeting. But before I could sink into despair, he appeared. A figure in a tailored suit, dark hair slicked back, eyes sharp and piercing. He radiated confidence. Andrew Reed. He was here. The millionaire CEO. The crowd parted around him. Every footstep seemed to thud against the ground, vibrating with authority. And then, he stopped in front of me. My breath caught. Did he just smile? His eyes glinted with interest. I could see a spark of curiosity. Could he really be intrigued by a flimsy dress made of trash bags? Hope flared within me, warm against the cold reality. My heart raced again, dancing wildly, a riot of emotions, but just as quickly as it ignited, doubt snuffed it out. What if he laughed? What if all this effort led to nothing? I could feel the weight of the crowd's gaze, heavy and judging. His expression shifted, a cloud shadowing the light in his eyes. My world teetered on the brink, and then, the unthinkable happened. A gasp. Michael, my closest mentor, stood frozen, jaw dropped, staring at Andrew and me. "No, it can't be," he whispered, a mixture of awe and fear echoing in the silence. No one moved. My heart pounded. Could it be? I needed to know what was coming next. What did he see? Would this moment define everything? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The room remained deathly silent, all eyes trained on Andrew and me. My breath quickened, caught in a whirlwind of dread and anticipation. Michael was shaking his head, his confusion palpable. I turned back to Andrew, searching his face for any sign of what he truly thought. The moment stretched out, each second pulling my hope tighter and tighter until I feared it would snap, what did I tell you about creativity and defying expectations, Clara? Michael finally broke the thickness in the air, his voice low. Those words rang in my ears like a bell. The moment hung there, a fragile thread between despair and the possibility of something more. Andrew stepped closer, his almost amused smile returning. You certainly have an eye for innovation, he stated, his tone smooth but laced with skepticism. I swallowed hard, trying to balance my excitement and fear, my heart debatable if it should soar or cower. Michael seemed to sense the conflict, rubbing his temples as he gathered his words. I think what Clara means to say, he started, glancing between Andrew and me, is that beauty can indeed come from unexpected places. Andrew's gaze flickered briefly to Michael, a hint of something unreadable surfacing in his features. So, you're suggesting there's more to this dress than meets the eye? Yes. I said, my voice unexpectedly firm. It represents resilience. The power of fashion to tell a story, to elevate what's typically deemed worthless. I was shaking now, but steadied myself, the adrenaline pushing me forward. Courage is hard to find in this industry, he replied, tilting his head slightly, an inscrutable glint in his gaze. His eyes seemed to search mine, unraveling my truth, the fear, the desire, the desperation for validation. I held my breath, not knowing what he would say next. Would he see me? Truly see what I had made? But then the ambience shifted. A loud buzz interrupted us, and a commotion bubbled from the other end of the room. Guests shifted their attention, whispers and gasps rippling through the crowd. Confused murmurs intensified. I risked a glance over my shoulder. A figure stepped through the doorway, petite and unruly, yet striking a young girl no older than 10, her hair trailing in wild curls, her eyes sharp and bright. The girl waved her hands, demanding the spotlight as if she were the creator of the very universe itself. Excuse me. She squeaked, her voice echoing, drawing everybody's attention back to her. I have to tell everyone about my dress. A hush fell over the crowd as she marched forward, the silhouette of her outfit appearing, crafted from colorful beads and recycled paper. I blinked in disbelief, recognition igniting within me. It was a project I had seen at the local community workshop a few weeks back. Did she gain the courage to show it here? My heart swelled with unexpected pride for her, but Andrew's expression turned sharp. What is this? He asked, his voice low and dangerous, almost like thunder rumbling before a storm. This is a fashion show for adults. Not for dreams. The girl exclaimed, undeterred. Everyone deserves a chance to shine, right? My heart sank. Did I truly believe that someone like myself or even this girl could shine in a world dominated by the likes of Andrew Reed? The air crackled with tension again, and suddenly I found myself torn between two worlds. A part of me wanted to support her, to embrace the spirit of creation and unity. Another part felt overshadowed, the shadow of self-doubt creeping back in. Look, kid, Andrew said, his voice unyielding as he turned, dismissing her with a wave. This is a serious event. You're not meant to be here. No. I blurted out, the words tumbling from my lips before I could catch them. She deserves this just as much as anyone else. You can't shut her down simply because she's a kid. Andrew's eyes narrowed, meeting mine with a fierce intensity. There it was again, the spark of curiosity, but mixed with a darker storm. You're standing up for her. For this? He gestured toward my dress, as if that was the reason it was all going awry. Is that what your entire vision is about? Distraction? I opened my mouth to respond, words bubbling in my throat, but nothing came out. It was as if my feelings had become a tempest, but my resolve was weakening. Outside the chaos, the girl's hope shone bright, but it threatened to cut further into my own insecurities. Just then, the girl tugged at my skirt. Do you think my dress is beautiful? The crowd had begun murmuring, and now all eyes were on me. I stared into her innocent brown eyes, the question floating in the air, hanging between us like an unresolved promise. Of course, I answered, a tiny flame flickering back to life within. You created something special, and that makes it beautiful. I knelt down, suddenly aware that at this moment, it didn't matter how clumsy or broken my own dreams seemed. This girl's undying spirit lit a path forward. Andrew's displeasure was unmistakable. You think standing beside her will help you? Before I could respond, something unexpected happened. Ed turned away, cutting through the crowd like a storm. I stood there, shocked, a knot tying itself tighter in my stomach. Could it be true? Had I let my voice spark hope, yet lost the attention of the most important person in the room? The young girl beamed at me, unaware of the turmoil brewing just moments away. My heart jumped and twisted. In that instant, I realized our paths had intertwined, and while Andrew's scorn loomed over me, it was the surprising courage of this child that called for a deeper, more profound awakening within me. But as I tried to gather my thoughts, the echo of Andrew's departing footsteps resounded. I felt an unyielding sense of determination rush through me, a ferocious drive to reclaim my narrative. Wait! I shouted, but the words were lost in the murmur of confused guests. And then, at that very moment, something clicked. What could I do to salvage this dream? As my heart raced with fresh intent, I caught sight of Michael stepping carefully aside, worry flickering in his eyes. It was a decision to be made, an emotional cliff where I could either step back into safety or plunge into the unknown. But as Andrew left, something about him seemed off. His figure was growing distant, but an undeniable pulse of something deeper strummed within the air, both a challenge and an invitation. I looked down at the young girl, her enthusiasm undeterred. And right there, I understood the choice I had to make, to stand still or to step forward into a wild and exciting uncertainty. All right, I said, my voice softer now but steadier. Let's show the world what we can create together. But then, an unmistakable figure appeared near the exits linking toward Andrew. Someone I recognized. A sharp intake of breath escaped me, my heart sinking further as clarity dawned that it was Grace, my mother's best friend, the one person who had supported me all these years and who had now aligned herself with the one person I dreaded facing the most. Clara, she whispered, catching my gaze unbroken, as if the very moment had come crashing down like a fierce wave. Her expression was hard to decipher, but I sensed a new layer of betrayal unfolding, sending me spiraling toward a truth I was not prepared to face. Would the storm finally engulf me, or could I emerge stronger, more resilient than ever before? The atmosphere in the room shifted, a dance of whispers clouding the edges of my consciousness as Grace approached Andrew, her body language projecting everything from sympathy to the thrill of aligning with power. It felt like an electric shock coursing through me, igniting a fear deep within that I had never wanted to confront, that I couldn't tear my gaze away from them. The girl at my side, radiating innocence, obliviously tugged at the hem of her dress, waiting expectantly for my next cue. "What's wrong?" she asked, her wide eyes searching my face. I forced a smile, but the tremor in my body betrayed me. "Nothing," I responded, but even I didn't believe it. Michael stood frozen beside us, glancing between me and the unfolding drama, his expression a blend of concern and confusion. "Clara, are you okay?" he whispered, a gentle reminder of the other potential allies present. How can I be okay when the words choked in my throat as I pointed toward Grace and Andrew? What do you think they're saying? My voice cracked, and the girl gripped my arm tighter, unaware of the weight pressing down on my thoughts. Before I could articulate my spiraling worries, there was a sudden cheer from the crowd as Grace and Andrew laughed, misplaced camaraderie echoing off the walls like a dagger twisting deep inside me. "They're not laughing at you, Clara," Michael said gently, attempting to tether my fraying emotions. "Focus on what matters." As much as I wanted to believe him, their laughter felt cruel, mocking. I was paralyzed between conflicting desires, the instinct to rush forward and confront Grace about her betrayal and staying put to nurture the fire within, ignited by my new young friend. The girl leaned closer, visibly excited by the unfolding spectacle, absorbed in her own dreams. "Here we go," Michael muttered, breaking my reverie, as he stepped forward to redirect the attention of the crowd back to me. "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the true meaning of creativity." His voice reverberated in the room, stirring a collective curiosity. "Clara, why don't you tell us what your dress represents?" His encouragement was a beacon shining through the tempest storming in my heart, and I dared to grasp onto it. With a deep breath, I turned toward the audience, forcing my gaze past Andrew and Grace, locking onto the hopeful faces surrounding me. This dress, I began, my words gaining strength as they poured out, is a tapestry woven from the overlooked fragments of our world. Every piece has a story, just like each of us. It's a celebration of resilience, creativity, and the courage to defy expectations. The girl beside me beamed, her joy infectious even in my turmoil. I continued, daring to meet Andrew's challenging gaze. Just because something is deemed worthless, or discarded, doesn't mean it can't become something beautiful, something powerful, I declared, feeling the truth of my words resonate through the room. A gasp echoed back, the murmurs softened. I turned to the girl, whose expression mirrored every bit of hope I sought to convey. Just like you, I added, the sincerity swelling in my voice. Creativity has the ability to uplift, inspire, and unite us, regardless of age or experience. For a fleeting moment, I sensed unity, an understanding that transcended our individual fears. But as I spoke, the figure of Grace grew sharper, her smile worn taut, the way she leaned closer to Andrew suggesting she was stringing together connections that could shatter everything I hoped to build. Then, just as the optimism flickered to life, Andrew cut through my bravado like glass. "That's admirable, Clara," he interjected, his voice cool, "but this is a business. Beauty doesn't sell itself, it needs to be crafted by those who know how to exploit it." His words hung in the air, cruel and dismissive, and my heart sank anew. "You're missing the point," I blurted out, my frustration overwhelming my fear. "Creativity isn't just a product, it's an emotion. It's about sharing perspectives, and it comes from all corners, not just the privileged." Grace's eyes narrowed, and her silence was a quiet storm brewing just out of sight. "Clara," she said finally, her voice low and edged with a disapproving warmth, "sometimes it's not your place to dictate the rules of this industry." My heart clenched at her words, laced with an authority that had once given me comfort. "Maybe it's time the rules are challenged," I shot back, my adrenaline spiking with each word. But as their expressions lashed toward disdain, I felt the weight of my battle untether, a fraying rope connected to years of unquestioned loyalty. Michael moved closer, protective yet hesitant, presenting an unseen anchor in the chaos growing thicker around me. "You know this isn't just about fashion, right? You've got something here that people can resonate with." Suddenly, I saw an unusual flicker of sincerity flicker across Andrew's face, a spark of intrigue amid his haughty demeanor. "So you're saying this," he pointed to the girl's outburst, "is the future?" "Yes." I found my voice rising in warmth. "Maybe the future can be brighter, more inclusive. If we encourage creativity in all its forms, whether it's from a child or someone like me. What else could we discover?" But the weight of Grace's gaze accompanied each word, like a silent reproach. My resolve faltered as I felt the collective gaze of the crowd, drawn into the whirlwind of possibility I had dared to construct. However, as Andrew absorbed these ideas, his lips curled into a smile that sent shivers down my spine, a blend of admiration and something darker. Against my intuition, it seemed that even in this sea of uncertainty, I might have ignited the tiniest flicker of hope in him, but at what cost? As if reading my thoughts, Michael took a step back, opening a splintered space between us. The girl tugged at my skirt again, whispering, "Do you think they'll like it?" But before I could answer, the commotion intensified at the doorway. A gust of wind carried an unexpected scent, the unmistakable fragrance of fresh blooms. My heart skipped again, pulling me toward the entrance where shadows danced, and looming figures approached, their energy somehow changing the dynamics of the room. In the doorway stood a woman I never expected to see again, Renee, my childhood friend turned fashion mogul, who had left for the bustling fashion capitals years ago. She took a slow step forward, scanning the crowd, nodding as if calculating the potential I finally felt in my veins. Everything in me seized, each detail of her presence both exciting and terrifying as I finally found my voice again. "Renee. What are you doing here?" But just as hope bubbled with urgency, Andrew's expression shifted, a darkness settling behind his eyes. His smile had widened, revealing an unfamiliar edge, as if he had been waiting for this moment all along. "Looks like things just got a lot more interesting," he murmured, glancing between me and Renee. As uncertainty loomed once again, threatening to swallow me whole, I couldn't shake the feeling that the tide was turning rapidly. In this moment, standing at the edge of possibility, everything felt poised to change. Would it be for better or worse? The dawning realization that time was ticking against me clutched my heart tight, and I could only hope that the choices I made next would lead to the revelation I feared but ultimately needed. The weight of anticipation hovered in the air, thick and almost suffocating, as Renee stepped forward into the room that had felt so small moments before. The whispers slithered around the crowd, a ripple of recognition that surged through the audience as her polished elegance filled the space. Memories crashed into me, shared laughter, daring brainstorms, and the bittersweet ache of her departure. We were a universe apart just a few years ago, living different stories woven from ambition and adventure. "Clara," she said, locking eyes with me, her voice smooth but layered with uncertainty. "I heard you were making waves here. I couldn't miss it." As she gestured to the whimsical fabric cascading off my shoulders, a mix of pride and anger bubbled in my chest. This was my moment, a culmination of relentless effort, and yet there she stood, an uninvited echo of my past, but the nuances of those memories faded into the backdrop as Andrew's sharp laughter drew my attention back. He was leaning against the wall, self-assured and seemingly reveling in the chaos. "Isn't it lovely how life brings people together?" Clara and her dress, now graced by the presence of a true visionary, he taunted, his voice tinged with an undercurrent of malice that made my skin crawl. A flicker of shame ignited within me. The magic I had built felt fragile, and I was acutely aware of the characters snake dancing on the edges of my narrative. Grace, Andrew, and now Renee, each holding heavy expectations that barely aligned with my own. "Thank you for coming, Renee. I'm just trying to find my footing here," I replied, attempting to mask my unease, the warmth of my earlier resolve slipping back into shadow. I felt the girl beside me stiffen, her innocence contrasted with the shifting currents of tension filling the air. I wondered if she could sense the battle for inner strength, the struggle between reclaiming my agency and folding beneath the weight of expectations. Renee smiled gently, her gaze flicking away from me toward the gathering crowd. "This has potential, Clara." But she paused, her eyes narrowing slightly as she regarded the fabric of my dress, hints of recognition flitting across her features. "But it needs refinement. You know that, right?" Determination flared in my heart, pushing back against the doubt that threatened to envelop me. "I know what this means to me, Renee. It's not just about the aesthetics, it's about a statement." "You're right. It is a statement," she countered softly, a hint of warmth in her tone. But then, she looked over at Andrew, concern etching her brows. "But is it a statement that will resonate? Can the story be told and sold at the same time?" The veiled implication stung, striking a nerve in my insecurities that in that explosive moment, the excitement of creativity battled with the harsh realities of the industry I had long admired but never fully understood. The urgency of unreasonable expectations pulled at my heartstrings, desperately trying to steer my course. The little girl watched, wide-eyed, oblivious to the strings of fate pulled taut around us, and I realized I had been lost in this struggle for too long. I only had to define the world I wanted, not let it be dictated by others. As I opened my mouth to respond, ready to reclaim my vision, Andrew interrupted with a chilling chuckle, breaking the fragile circle of hope. "You think that just because you had a grand idea, it gives you power? This is business, Clara. People like me shape the industry. You should be grateful for a chance to play in the sandbox." Anger rushed through me like wildfire, immediate and consuming, and I met Michael's concerned gaze through the gathered crowd. He had been a steady light amid the chaos, yet even he seemed uncertain now, as if weighing the right moment to interject. But my instinct was stronger. "It's people like you who try to box creativity into a price tag," I shot back, every word laced with the frustration I had been fighting to hold back. "Art needs space to flourish, not to be caged." The air crackled with tension, and for a heartbeat, I felt a dangerous urgency envelop me. Whatever was brewing between Andrew and Grace swelled in the distance, an undercurrent that begged to be confronted, yet a part of me feared the consequences. As we exchanged heated glances, Renee stepped forward, her presence both anchor and tempest, saying, "Clara, you do have a gift. But are you willing to take the risk to stand by what you believe in? Because up here, honesty doesn't always guarantee success." Just as I was about to respond, the girl beside me tugged at my sleeve again, her voice breaking through the rising tension. "Will you show me how to make a dress too, Clara? Like yours?" My heart swelled at her innocent enthusiasm, reminding me of the endless possibilities that still existed in the space of creativity. "Yes, sweetheart. Of course," I said, kneeling to her level, feeling her genuine hope layer over the chaos, a beam of light cutting through the shadows, but Andrew's smirk deepened, a knowing tilt to his head suggesting he had seen through my momentary distraction. "Perhaps we should discuss this potential further." "Alone," he said, his tone dipping into something darker and more menacing, a challenge dripping with implications I couldn't yet comprehend. A knot of fear twisted in my stomach, an urgent need to keep the girl safe, to protect the flickering flame of my dream from extinguishing. "Renee," I began, my uncertainty growing. But before I could finish my plea, Andrew motioned towards the exit where shadows shifted ominously. "Let's not dismiss opportunities, Clara. The world can't wait, and neither should you." I stepped closer to the girl, my instincts sounding alarms as I caught the quiet anxiety spreading through Michael's expression. Was I ready to confront this unexpected alliance with Andrew? Just as I prepared to speak, a shocking revelation surged forth from the shadows at the entrance. Someone stepped forward, revealing the final twist, the dark secrets intertwined with Andrew's aspirations and my own potential. A figure emerged that made my heart plummet, a face I never expected to see in this firestorm of ambition. The edge of clarity unraveled in a single moment, and I could only hope I had the strength to face whatever truth walked towards me next. Just as I found my footing, bracing for the weight of Andrew's revelation, my heart momentarily stilled. The figure stepping forward clicked with recognition, and the room seemed to breathe in unison. Each breath, however, felt heavy with dread. It was Natasha, my former mentor and the woman who had once been my guiding star before life led us down different paths. She hadn't just vanished, she had left a wake of both admiration and bitterness in her departure. "Clara, darling," her voice rang out, smooth and dipped in condescension, "I see you've made quite the statement here tonight." The crown of perfectly styled hair framed her perfectly poised face, yet her eyes flickered with an impatience that hinted at a tumultuous past. The chatter around us faded away as confusion knitted the brows of the audience, leaving me standing before two women who had shaped my journey in such stark contrast. Renee, whose influence had inspired my creativity, and Natasha, who had meticulously polished my ambition, only to leave me feeling discarded. I swallowed against the tension lumped in my throat. "Natasha," I managed to say, forcing the word through clenched teeth, trying desperately to mask my flood of emotions. "What are you doing here?" "Oh, just visiting the talents of the up-and-coming. I hear you've become quite the little star." The casual lilt in her voice only accentuated the sharpness of her words. "I wanted to see what you were capable of, especially after hearing you're working with trash bags." Her dismissal stung, yet recognition flickered through the air. Could this moment illuminate the path I'd been wandering? While Andrew reveled in his transactional game, Natasha's scorn provided an unwanted yet clarifying light, revealing that my journey towards art was authentic despite its imperfections. "Right," I replied, forcing a tight smile, desperate to meet her gaze directly, refusing to flinch. "It's more about creating something from nothing. That's the art, isn't it?" I needed to hold on to my truth, even as the ground beneath me shifted with uncertainty. "Art is about authenticity," Natasha said, stepping closer, her voice lowering as the crowd around us resumed its buzz, though I could feel the magnetic current binding us. "But what is authentic in the world of business?" She waved a dismissive hand in Andrew's direction. "This industry thrives on illusion." I didn't respond immediately, instinctively scanning the crowd for Michael. He stood a little isolated now, his brows drawn in confusion, as though he too were piecing together the implications of Natasha's unexpected reappearance. My resolve faltered for a brief moment as the depths of my own confusion swirled within me. "Don't let them drown your flame, Clara," Renee's voice cut through the noise, lingering close enough to touch but willing to give me space. "You have the ability to create something that resonates, to spark change. But can I?" I whispered, mostly to myself, my thoughts spinning like a confused carousel. I wanted to believe her, to believe that every stitch I'd woven, every idea I'd fought for mattered, but the shadows of doubt loomed large. Andrew's laughter echoed from across the room, a voice filled with entitlement and triumph in our moment of vulnerability. "Listen to her, Clara." He eyed me like a predator sizing up his prey. "Innovation comes with sacrifice. You want to play in the big leagues, sweetheart. It's time to grow up and face reality." All the frustration building inside me threatened to spill over. "My reality doesn't include becoming your puppet, Andrew." I spat, feeling my voice carry throughout the room once more. "You've twisted creativity into a transaction, and I refuse to be part of that game." Natasha's brow arched in intrigue while a glint of shock passed over Renee's face. "Then you want last?" Andrew shrugged, his amusement wider. Despite the looming threats, I felt something shift within me, igniting sparks of defiance. Renee placed her hand gently on my shoulder, grounding me, but a rush of whispers sliced through the atmosphere, bringing my focus back to Gregory, who was frozen near the entrance. The way he was staring at me suggested he too had faced an emotional realization, finding solidarity with my plight. "Clara," he hesitated, betrayal weaving through his tone. "If you're turning down commercial backing, don't you think you should consider the consequences? Are you prepared to walk away?" The weight of his question intensified in the air, pushing me deeper into conflict. Could I truly face the unknown? Was my creative spirit worth the risk of losing stability? All I could do was nod, standing resolute amid the swirling chaos, still tethered to the girl's hopeful gaze from moments earlier. I wanted to tell her that this moment mattered, that artists fought for authenticity, resilience etched beneath layers of plastic and thread. But just as I readied my resolve to confront the challenges ahead, an unexpected message chimed through my phone pocket. The familiar notifications had once been a lifeline, but now they seemed to threaten everything I was beginning to build. A single name appeared with urgency, "Mom." My heart dropped at the implications of the screen lighting up. What could have happened to pull her into my whirlwind? Shrinking space consumed the air as dread pooled at my feet. Did the fire of ambition I was igniting come at a greater cost? I had not anticipated this twist, this revelation dragging me back into a world of responsibility and fear. My journey felt perilously suspended, balanced on a knife's edge, as I fought against the currents swirling around me, but now doubt had wrapped its icy fingers around my heart. What awaited me on the other side of this night felt less certain than ever. The air was electric with tension as I stood frozen, staring at my phone with a mixture of disbelief and dread. The message from my mother seemed to hum unnaturally loud in the hushed chaos of the gallery. "Mom." Just her name conjured waves of emotions, love mingled with fear of disappointment, ancient scars reopening all at once. "Clara." Gregory's voice cut back into focus as he leaned closer. "Is everything all right?" I forced a breath through my lungs, the sting of apprehension constricting my chest. It's my mom." He glanced toward my phone, then back at me, concern softening the lines of his face. "You should read it," he urged gently. Before I could respond, Natasha stepped in, her polished demeanor puncturing the fragile moment. "Clara, if you're considering a pivot in your career, now would be the time before you get too entrenched," she said, her gaze narrowing in on me like a hawk assessing its prey. The world doesn't wait for the indecisive. I wanted to argue. I wanted to remind her that passion was not created in a vacuum, that art thrived from struggle and community, not just cold transactions. And yet, her words struck a chord within me, resonating with the anxiety tumbling around in my mind. Renee squeezed my shoulder, nudging me to find my voice. "Take a moment, Clara. Listen to your heart," she said softly. "You can handle this." I swiped to open the message, my eyes scanning it hurriedly. The words blurred together, a heartbeat away from arresting my breath. Clara, we need to talk. It's about your father. The room dimmed as every noise faded into the background, swallowed by the weight of that sentence. My father had been distant for most of my life, a shadow hovering over my childhood. His absence had shaped so much of my identity, crafted with careful stitches of longing and resentment. What could be so urgent that it pulled me back to him, again, Clara? The urgency in Gregory's voice penetrated my haze. What does it say? I turned to face him, paralyzed, as if revealing those words aloud would unleash a torrent I wasn't prepared to face. My voice trembled. It's about my dad. There was a flicker in his eyes, something akin to recognition, but he said nothing, allowing the silence to thrum with the gravity of the moment. Just then, a crescendo of laughter erupted from across the gallery, and I felt my knees almost buckle under the pressure of it all. Let's step outside for a moment, he suggested, holding out his hand, offering an anchor against the tumult inside me. I nodded, taking his hand, the warmth of his grasp a small comfort amidst the cold uncertainty swirling around me. As we stepped outside, the night air wrapped around us coolly, washing over my flushed cheeks. I inhaled deeply, trying to ground myself in the moment, but every breath rushed back with images of my father, a man entrenched in shadows, a disarray of memories tied to abandonment and silence. The sensation of that message, it's tearing something within me, I murmured, struggling to pin down my emotions. How do I let go of the years of estrangement? All the missed opportunities? Gregory was quiet for a moment, then spoke softly. It's not about letting go, it's about allowing yourself to feel. Trust your instincts. This moment, whatever is behind that message, can either fuel your art or hold you captive. I stared at him, the sincerity in his eyes urging me to unburden my heart. But everything feels so chaotic. It makes me question everything. Me art, my strength. He huffed out a breath, as if reclaiming the space I had momentarily surrendered. Perhaps chaos is part of creation, Clara. Sometimes, it takes a storm to reveal the beauty beneath. A soft chuckle escaped me, even as tears brimmed in my eyes. You have a way of being wise when I need it most, only because we face our battles together, he replied, the warmth of his words wrapping around me like a soft blanket in the chill of the night. Whatever you decide, know that you're not alone in this. My heart swelled with a flicker of hope, igniting a tiny flame somewhere deep within me. Perhaps the chaos didn't have to obliterate my resolve, perhaps it could blend with my passion, shaping my art into something more profound. Just as I turned to face him, a pair of headlights swept toward us, illuminating the night sky. A sleek car rolled to a stop, and the driver's door swung open with a familiar grace. My heart sank as Natasha emerged, her poise undeterred. Clara, she called over, her voice filled with a strange mixture of authority and urgency. We need to talk. That I felt a tension prickle at the back of my neck, the air between us thickening with unspoken truths. Just as I stood to greet her, my phone buzzed, again, a notification glowing ominously on the screen. My eyes widened as I caught the name once more, my heart pounding uncontrollably. It was Mom, and it wasn't just a check-in. The message repeatedly flashed, "Get here quickly. There's more to discuss, it changes everything." Hope warped into fear, a dark reminder dancing just beyond my grasp, and as I gripped my phone tightly, I braced for the revelation that awaited me, that could shatter the fragile sense of solidity I had begun to construct. Where once uncertainty lingered, now dread sharpened, drawing closer, begging for answers amidst the chaos that loomed ahead. What lay in the depths of this night felt like the precipice of everything I'd been fighting against, and I teetered on the edge, ready or not. The cool air and the distant laughter from the gallery felt foreign now, a stark contrast to the turmoil swirling in my heart. I stood rooted, my phone still vibrating in my palm, each buzz a reminder of the urgency, the unraveling thread of my past that threatened to entangle my present. Gregory's concern was palpable beside me, his presence anchoring me to the moment, yet I felt like I was being pulled into an abyss of uncertainty and fear. "Maybe you should just go," he said, his words breaking through the chaos in my mind. "If your mom needs you." I shook my head violently, panic rising like bile in my throat. "But I don't want to face this alone." "What if it's something I can't handle?" "Then don't handle it alone," he replied, determination etching across his features. "Let me come with you." His offer held a depth of kindness, yet it also felt like admitting weakness, a hesitation that gnawed at me. "What if it's something that will change everything we've built here?" I gestured vaguely to the gallery, to the life I had crafted amidst the canvases and brushes, as if it were easier to focus on the tangible rather than what was threatening to fracture my heart. The headlights dimmed as Natasha walked closer, her polished smile betraying a shred of impatience. "Clara, can we speak for a moment? It's important." The urgency in her voice struck a chord. I felt the weight of expectation settle on my shoulders, the pressure of my career and my family converging. "Just a second," I murmured, stepping back from her approach. "Gregory, please." His reassuring presence beside me flickered as I cast a glance at Natasha. I just need to process this for a moment, Clara," Natasha pressed, her voice a tight string pulsing with controlled authority. "You've got incredible talent, but we need to think about your future moving forward. Your artistry will be determined by what I choose, not by what you think I should do," I interrupted, surprising myself with the force behind my words. It felt surreal to stand my ground against someone who had once intimidated me so easily. But then again, everything was shifting, and I was beginning to understand that my journey was uniquely mine, molded by choices I hadn't yet made. "Good," Gregory stated quietly, adding to my resolve. "You have to decide for yourself." The moment wobbled, caught between past promises and future possibilities. "What if I lose everything?" I whispered to Gregory, the raw vulnerability hanging between us like a frail thread. "Sometimes, losing everything is what leads to finding ourselves," he replied, looking deeper into my eyes than anyone else had. "But you are not that brittle, Clara. You are stronger than the storms you faced." A warmth bubbled in the pit of my stomach, igniting the small spark of hope I had felt earlier. But I was still tethered to that message, the one lingering like fog in my mind. The more I thought of my mother's cryptic words, the more unsettling they became. What was so crucial that it could change my entire existence? Before I could respond, Natasha stepped forward, thrusting a business card into my hand with a slight flourish. "I believe you need to consider new ventures. This is a designer who believes in empowering artists like you. If your work can capture the heart of a millionaire CEO, it can also be your ticket to something greater," she urged, a cool veneer shrouding whatever kindness might have once existed beneath her polished surface. My gaze flickered to the card, and a wave of confusion washed over me. "And what does that entail? More compromises?" I replied, fighting the instinct to recoil at the prospect of selling my soul for success. She opened her mouth to respond, but I was distracted by the persistent glow of my phone. Another message from Mom. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to face the truth behind those words, the possibility of it unraveling everything I had tried to build. "Clara," Gregory said softly, "you can take control. You can decide what parts of your life deserve your energy and which don't." In that moment, hope collided with fear. My heart raced as I realized the weight of my next decision could tip the balance of everything I held dear. But before I could respond, Natasha's sharp voice pulled me back. "You have talent, Clara. Don't waste it. Don't let your personal life overshadow your potential. You can have it all if you're just willing to sacrifice a little." Her words struck hard, igniting a blend of resentment and ambition within me. The relentless pressure constricted around my heart, squeezing until the air was thin and distant. "I need time," I finally said, my voice wavering but steady. "To process what's happening. All of this." I gestured to the now quiet gallery, the countless expectations swirling around us. "Then take that time, but remember what's at stake. Sometimes you have to step outside your comfort zone to see your true worth," Natasha advised, then turned away, her elegant hair sweeping behind her as she moved towards the entrance, her parting words engraved into the fabric of my turmoil. "Clara," but before Gregory could finish, an unanticipated sound erupted from my phone, a video call notification from my mother. It felt as if the world had paused for a heartbeat, breathless and heavy, as though every unresolved thread of our shared history was demanding my attention at once. "Do I answer?" I asked, my voice a mere whisper wrapped in layers of fear and longing. The light of the screen flickered as my heart pounded in response to the unfurling weight of my choices. "Only you can decide," Gregory said, his gentle encouragement reverberating in the air around us. The decision swirled in my mind, one final act standing between my present and the tumult of the unknown. With trembling fingers, I accepted the call, my heart racing towards whatever resolution or devastation awaited me on the other side of that screen. The night felt alive with the swirling energies of past grievances and future possibilities, and I stood on the precipice, ready or not for once. This was entirely my own journey to navigate. The call connected, and suddenly, there she was, me mother, her face framed by a cascade of muted colors, the dim light from her living room illuminating the deep lines etched into her skin. I struggled to breathe, my throat catching, as I saw the weariness that had settled into her features, deeper than I'd ever noticed. "Clara," she began, her voice a mixture of relief and anxiety, "thank you for answering." Her words stumbled over the distance that had grown between us, and I felt the pull of familiarity mingle with an ocean of unspoken grievances. "Mom, what's happening? You said it was urgent." The urgency in my own voice cut through the frail thread of connection we shared. I looked at Gregory, who stood a few paces away, watching with an expression that was both supportive and apprehensive, as if he could sense the storm brewing in the confines of this call even from where he stood. Her eyes flickered, an array of emotions playing behind them: fear, vulnerability, love. "I didn't want to worry you, but your father is back in town." The words hung heavy in the air, draping over my shoulders like a leaden shroud. My pulse quickened with each beat, the memories of endless arguments and ballooning tension racing back uninvited. "Why? What does that mean? Does he want to see me?" "I don't know," she exclaimed, the frustration that had been pent up for years exploding like an old dam breaking. "You know him better than I do. He just dropped by with some ridiculous excuse about wanting to make amends, like he can just waltz back into our lives after everything." My gut twisted as resentment bloomed, the siren call of my past echoing in my heart. "You always said if he wanted to come back, it was up to me, right? So why are you so upset?" "Because I am worried," she said, her voice softening. "He doesn't change. You have no idea how hard it was when he left. I'm not sure I can bear him disrupting your life again." As her words hung uncomfortably between us, I felt a flicker of sympathy for her pain mixed with a jagged edge of anger towards the man who had so carelessly fractured our family. "And what about what it does to me if I let him back in?" I countered, feeling the tremor of fear that echoed my mother's concern. "After everything, how can we trust that he won't hurt us again?" A crackle of silence filled the gap, and I could see the fight leaving my mother's eyes, the weight of regret pooling in the corners. "All I can say is be careful. Your life is finally on the right path. I don't want him to mess it up again." Her plea resonated deep within me, an echo of concern I had once shared with her. But there was also the burgeoning sense of independence that had flourished in my heart, one that pushed against her words, urging me to explore the choices I had left unconsidered. Maybe seeing him again could help me understand, for once. "Maybe it will, Clara. Sometimes things aren't what they seem." "You have so much to lose," she interjected, the pleading deepening her expression. "But I also have so much to gain," I argued back, feeling the flames of determination begin to ignite. "This is my life, Mom. I need to figure it out, even if it means making mistakes." "Please, just promise you'll think before you act," she implored, her voice a whisper that felt more like a prayer than a request. As I glanced up, Gregory had shifted closer to hear, his presence a silent reassurance against the swell of turmoil. I nodded slowly, understanding the burden of her fears not just for herself, but for me. "I promise I'll be careful. But I can't promise to walk away from this." Her eyes softened once more, the tension diffusing into an unfamiliar tenderness, allowing room for a semblance of understanding. "Just know that I love you. No matter what he does, you are always my first priority." "I love you too, Mom," I murmured, wanting to reach through the screen and close the distance, to bring some semblance of comfort. Yet, as soon as I spoke those words, the overwhelming ache settled back into silence, echoing the complexities of love so tangled in resentment. Before I could respond further, the connection faded, her face dissolving into the familiar screen. I was left with a stillness that was interrupted only by the sound of Gregory's soft footsteps approaching. "That I didn't mean to eavesdrop," he said gently, but it sounded intense. "Yeah." I inhaled deeply, emotions flooding my chest. "She's worried about him coming back." "About me?" Gregory offered a nod, as if absorbing the weight of the situation. "What do you feel about it? Do you believe in second chances?" I hesitated, the tension in my heart colliding with the small flickers of hope, tangled and unresolved. "I don't know yet. What if letting him back in only leads to heartache?" "That's the risk," he acknowledged, his voice steady, giving me space to think. "But you also deserve to find out your own truth. Whatever that is." The possibilities of it all settled around me, wrapping up the remnants of hope and fear like a tightly woven quilt, intricate and yet still incomplete. As Gregory touched my arm gently, sparking a warmth within me, I realized we stood on the edge of a precipice together, one that could lead to healing or fracture. And as if to punctuate the wavering uncertainties of the moment, my phone buzzed again. Another message illuminated the screen, but this time it wasn't from my mother. The familiar name brought with it an unexpected flutter of anxiety. "Tegan, my childhood friend. What now?" I murmured under my breath, heart quickening, as I clicked to open it. The message read, "I have something crucial to tell you. You need to meet me. It's about your father." An icy shard of foreboding replaced the embers of hope that had flickered within me. I exchanged a glance with Gregory, sensing that the storm I faced was just gathering speed. The flickering screen taunted me, the words blaring from the glowing surface enough to set my heart racing. Tegan had never been one to trifle with minor issues, and the gravity of her message pulled strongly at the tendrils of unease coiling in my stomach. "Do you think you should meet with her?" Gregory's voice cut through the tension, a gentle prod urging me to think. "I don't know, but if it's about my father." I trailed off. The past few days had been a cacophony of old wounds resurfacing, and hearing from Tegan felt like an echo of my life before everything had shattered. "Clara," Gregory said softly, "what if she knows something that might change your mind about seeing him?" The thought